with biometrics today, you have access to them in a moment's notice if you really need it in your home. There's no reason that that's not reasonable. I keep hearing reasonable legislation. There's nothing reasonable about what's proposed out there. Because that's not the issue.
On both sides.
On both sides,
Yes.
definitely. Senator, I think you're for gun legislation. Do you honestly believe that there's any law a criminal willing to break it is going to follow?
You know, you're absolutely right about the criminals. The criminals will be criminals. No question about it.
But that's who creates the crime.
Yeah. However, you know, this has been a real education for me. I'm not a gun owner, and as a matter of fact, Dom and I had a date to go to the to go to the range. But anyhow, there are certain loopholes like the gun shows that just come into town.
Let me just stop you right there for a second. There is no gun show loophole. Any registered FFL dealer at a gun show provides the same background check at a store or a gun show. The only loophole, which you like to refer to, is the private sale between two individuals. There is no gun show loophole. Again,
well,
it's misleading, but it's misleading the public.
Right.
Yeah.
So people that are uneducated about guns, it's misleading them. We want to put a stop to that as well.
Yeah.
There is no gun show
and
loophole.
there is really a lot of common ground on this. And in fact, I was just with Rick Hanley today going over, you know, those kinds of things. The proposals that came out today, there were two different ones on this subcommittee. There were about 14, I think, probably out of 30, so almost close to half that were on both proposals. So there is overlap. There is consensus.
But you don't believe in anything in banning gun capacity or anything else is an infringement on the Second Amendment?
It's not even legal.
Well, you know, before I get to that, I have to say that the magazines, now I spent a lot of time up at the state police going over and looking at all this, and in Newtown, 11 of those kids got out of that room when he was changing a magazine. So
I didn't see that report, so.
That report is,
That's suspicious.
Well,
That wasn't very good at it, because you could change that in half a second.
whatever, I don't know what the skill of it was. But anyhow, so I mean, I do think that large capacity magazines do not have a place in the civilian environment.
Second Amendment.
And then the question is, what's the line of, you know, what is large capacity? Now, we've seen a lot of different numbers being thrown out there, you know, starting from 7 going up to 15. You know, what's the right number?
So,
it's probably somewhere.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
How much ammo I need
Excuse
to
me.
protect myself?
Let me ask you a question. Are you open to the fact of someone providing you information that may or may not change your mind?
I have been, you know what? All information is important to me, and in fact, I had almost 11,000 emails one day from the last week. Only because, and I'm not just talking to people from my district, people all over the state, and actually people beyond the state borders. So absolutely, the answer is please, yes.
So if I was able to set up a licensed NRA certified instructor to show you the difference between changing out a 30-round magazine and firing it as opposed to having a 10-round magazine and show you that there's no real change in time.
Well, we did
Would
that
you be
with the
open to
state.
that?
I did that with the state police.
Okay, and there is no difference.
State police. Well, that's not exactly what they were showing me.
Well,
they're not saying that.
there's
You
a
take 2 10s and you tape them
There you
together.
go.
Well,
You take 2
they
10s
also-
and tape them together.
Right, and that's what they do when you do the 10
Get back
band.
to the large
However,
capacity.
what they did talk about when you have those high capacity magazines is the rate that you have jamming. It is, they say, a much greater likelihood that the magazine will jam with
Well,
greater capacity.
when you get over 30 rounds, yes, nobody uses, our military doesn't use over
Right.
30-round magazines. They're not
And
reliant.
nor does the state police.
If they would jam them.
They'd be safer if they jam with you.
That may be true, except for the fact that, you know, if there's, why have that huge magazine out there?
Because it comes back to the real issue of the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
Really, it comes
This
down to
isn't
it.
something that's-
I mean, that's,
Well,
have we lost our principles so far as the country that became great because of our Bill of Rights and Constitution? We haven't written a piece of legislation since then that's been as powerful is that? These people back in that time wrote things, were said, we're not gonna be prejudiced against religion, you're gonna be free, you're not gonna have a government hold you down. The things that they went through, that may not happen today, but we can't change our principles is what got us here. And that's what all you guys seem to be doing.
And listen, I'm an old history teacher, so I absolutely am with you on that. The question is, in 2013, it's a different
It's not different.
implement.
I can show you
It's absolutely not.
Not any different.
Not
it's not.
automatic.
No.
Not any different.
No.
We have
It
not
is
been
not
invaded.
That you could have one at a time.
We have not been invaded as a country because of the amount of firearms that are in the hands of private citizens.
But it's a different generation of weapons. You
It's
must
not a
know
different
that.
generation.
It's
It's the same. Wait a second.
That has nothing to do with the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment kept things equal between the government and the private people.
At the
I mean,
time,
were the founding fathers thinking about
Yes, they
automatic
were.
weapons that
They were
fire?
thinking
it was
about
no different than the
It's
Muslims.
about
It was no different than the Muslims.
parity.
As a
Yes,
history
parity.
teacher, the answer is yes. Our founding fathers did envision things such as that because these are the same great men that started the patent system because they knew that people would invent things and
Look,
improve
it's-
upon things.
it's a
And when it
subject
comes-
to be
And when it
discussed.
comes to